This is CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're at the Buatsi-Richards fight week, the start of it, the workout. I'm joined by Eddie Hearn. Just move back a bit, mate, because your head's right in now. There we go. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm excited. We've got a double fight week this week, which I thought I'd point out because you didn't, to your loyal fans. Obviously, Laraja against Metcalf in Bilbao on Friday, which is going to be absolutely epic. And the big fight at the O2 on Saturday, Richards against Buatsi, or Buatsi against Richards. Coin toss for ring walk coming up later today. And good card on Saturday at the O2. Great night in Milan last Friday with Scardina and De Carolis. Great tear up and feeling good, mate. Feeling motivated, feeling happy, feeling lucky to be alive. The sun is shining and we're ready to go.
I only pointed out we were at a workout for Buatsi-Richards. I didn't say anything else. You were like digging me out because I didn't mention your showing Bilbao.
I'll show you. This is KUGAN CASSIUS, joined by the legend Eddie Hearn, #1 promoter in the game, ahead of a massive fight week, again for Matchroom. I mean, when does it ever stop? Let's be honest. Bilbao on Friday night, Laraja against Metcalf. What a war we expect there in the Battle of Bilbao. And on Saturday night, not just the Battle of Crystal Palace, not just the Battle of South London, Craig Richards against Joshua Buatsi in a tremendous domestic light heavyweight championship fight that has world title ramifications as well. Eddie, you're looking unbelievable. How are you feeling? That would have been a great start to it.
How I would have said it was. All right, Eddie, we've got a couple of shows this week.
Some people have got it, some people haven't.
Apparently so. Right, let's talk about this. Is the fight...
Who are you picking?
What?
Who are you picking?
Who are you picking? Better question.
Okay,
Better question.
I mean, I think I put it like this. In boxing, a lot of people feel like this is a 50-50 fight. Outside of boxing, because of the hype machine and because of the job that we do, especially for blue chip prospects, people feel like Joshua Buatsi is a big favourite in the fight. Okay, there are unanswered questions about Joshua Buatsi. There are questions that Craig Richards has had to answer. I feel that coming off the back of the Bivol performance, again, more people are championing Craig Richards after that performance. And I feel like it is a 50-50 fight. I do, and I can't wait. And there's just I need your help today to just keep unearthing the little bit of spice that we're seeing between these two. Because if you've seen the head-to-head, it got a little bit spicy, and we want it to get spicy at the presser tomorrow. These two don't dislike each other, but their credentials and perhaps their cojones have been brought into question, and I need you to unearth that today.
No problem. So,
in other words, I'm sitting on the fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't dig me out about that. Right, okay. Has Canelo's loss to Bivol changed people's perception about how this fight's going to play out? Or is that naive and silly to think that?
No, I certainly think it's given Craig Richards' performance against Dimitri Bivol a lot more credibility, if you like. I mean, look, Craig... You have to understand, these two have had very different paths in the pro game. And the reason for that path is because of their amateur credentials. Joshua Buatsi was a brilliant amateur. I remember watching him in my lounge with my old man in Rio, and we both said to each other, Jesus, this kid can really fight. We signed him, he got a great deal, he got to box on all the big shows. Craig Richards, on the other hand, had to box on smaller hall shows. He had to fight Frank Buglioni for the British title on 1 week notice. He had to jump in against Dimitri Bivol, probably when he wasn't ready for Dimitri Bivol. And he's had to do it a different way. Now, Josh earned the right to get that contract because of his performances in the amateurs. But Craig is questioning that about Joshua Buatsi. You know, you see that in the head-to-head. You know, have you been fed your opponents? Have you ever had to show any steel in those fights? And that's what I think Buatsi didn't like in that head-to-head. And there's two sides to Joshua Buatsi. There's a very nice, humble, respectful man, and there's a horrible piece of work that comes out just before the ring walk. But he also came out in that head-to-head, and that's, again, what I want you to unearth again today. And I think Craig's performance against Bivol, I mean, he lost the fight by, I think, 2 rounds, 3 rounds max, and could have done more. But, you know, sometimes you never know the levels that a fighter has inside them. And again, that goes for Dimitri Bivol last week, 2 weeks ago. Who knew that he could put in a performance like that? Some people in boxing, but maybe his past performances, maybe against Craig, and certainly before that, in his defence before that, show you that maybe people underestimated him. And I think people are underestimating Craig Richards in this fight as well.
When the question's asked, out of your UK fighters, who's the next potential pay-per-view star after Anthony Joshua? When Anthony Joshua is kind of retired, done, who's your next pay-per-view star? The common answer that I kind of see is Conor Benn. But is there an argument there that it should have been, well, it could be Buatsi, it could be Conor Benn. Why hasn't Buatsi kind of got to that where people are saying that this guy should be, because he fights unbelievably, like you said, he's got that nasty side of him, he talks well. What reason?
I think Joshua Buatsi is a star. I mean, when you're talking about Conor Benn, you're talking about a guy who is also the...
I didn't say he wasn't a star, by the way.
Okay, yeah, okay. But when you're talking about this Conor Benn, you're talking about a young man that is the son of Nigel Benn, that is an extremely exciting fighter, that has been very active, and that really puts himself about, as you know, at every promotional opportunity. Does a fantastic job in that respect. Josh is just a little bit different. I feel like one of the mistakes Josh made in his career, the early part of his career, was a slight lack of activity because he didn't want to fight 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later. And sometimes that's a good move, sometimes it's a bad move. It's completely irrelevant now. Also with Joshua Buatsi, he doesn't really want the fame and the limelight that some fighters want, and sometimes that can affect you. But he's real, you know, and people need to respect that, and it doesn't mean that he can't become a star. So I think momentum is sometimes important. I mean, look, he was due to fight Vlasov last December, pulled out of that fight with an injury, and then that was after, obviously, the fight with at fight camp. So just momentum, really. But I think Conor Benn, Buatsi, these are all huge stars. But sometimes one night can change everything, and it could be Saturday night for either man. Either man could put in a performance on Saturday that changes their career forever.
Just run me through the rest of the card. Obviously, Chantel Cameron defending her world title.
So Chantel Cameron defending her unified championship against Victoria Bustos. Very tough. I mean, went the distance with Katie Taylor, went the distance with Cecilia Brackhouse, went the distance with Jessica McCaskill, fought for those three undisputed champions. Good fight for Chantel, and hopefully we can get the undisputed fight coming off the back of that if she can win. Really good fight for Alan Babic. You know, dropping down to bridgerweight, fighting Adam Bałski from Poland. Very good young fighter. This is by far the toughest fight of Savage's career so far. Ellie Scotney has a really, really tough fight against Cecilia Roman, who you saw Ebony Bridges win the World Championship for. Robbie Davis Jr. is in a great fight, another tough Mexican for him. You've got John Hedges up there, you've got Chev Clark, the Olympian, returning after his great debut. You've got Shiloh De Freitas as well, another fantastic prospect. Cyrus Patterson on the card as well. It's a big night, and lots of action, of course, culminating in a fantastic main event.
Why are we talking about Chantel Cameron? Like, I know you're saying if she wins because she's got a fight this week, but why hasn't this undisputed fight happened already? What's the situation with her?
Because Kaylee Reese has not been medically fit for that fight. She's going through some medical stuff at the moment. She wants the fight. You know, the whole thing about the tournament was to find an undisputed champion. She's got a nice paycheck waiting for her for that fight. She wants the fight, Chantel Cameron, but medically she hasn't been able to get in the ring. So we've made this fight against Bustos because we didn't want Chantel to wait any longer. And hopefully she wins this fight the weekend and then goes on to fight Kayla Reese for the undisputed.
Did you run into Chris Lovejoy in America?
Yeah. I was doing all the media and I just saw Lovejoy, and then I walked to another media and he followed me there. And, you know, I think the problem with Chris is he's had some contractual issues over the years. We all know one of them was when he flew over to fight Dave Allen. I like Chris Lovejoy against Johnny Fisher. I mean, Johnny Fisher's a novice. Chris Lovejoy has got a record that doesn't make sense, and also he doesn't deserve that record. But Johnny Fisher is a novice. I mean, I wouldn't put Chris Lovejoy in with Hergovich or these kind of guys, but for Johnny Fisher, why not? So maybe Johnny Fisher will be out in August, and maybe it'll be against old boy Lovejoy.
What you got in August?
Got loads going on in August.
And fight camp again?
No, I'm not doing fight camp this year.
Definitely not?
I'm not doing fight camp. I thought about it the other day. I sat out in the garden yesterday and I thought to myself, not this year, because we're going July 9th at the O2. We're going to have 2 shows in August. We're going to have 2 shows in September. Plus we've got Canelo Alvarez September the 17th. We've got Anthony Joshua probably July 23rd. Fight camp's not going to work this year. So I know everyone, the amount of messages I get about fight camp, but you're going to have to wait one more year and we'll be back in 2023 for fight camp.
You might be finished by then.
What?
Like 2024 or whatever, 2023.
Like dead?
No, I'm just saying, as a promoter, you're planning for like next
When you say
year.
I might be finished. Finished to me.
You might have left the sport of your own accord.
Finished to me doesn't mean retired. Finished to me means out of the game. You think I'm going to be out of the game in 12 months? Don't be daft.
Glad you put us straight on that one. How many people worldwide watched Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitri Bivol?
I don't actually know. I know how many pay-per-view.
Yes, of course you know.
Viewership, I don't know. I know how many pay-per-view buys it did.
Come on, hit me.
I mean, look, they're going to announce. I've already said
600.
Over 600,000. It's not going to hit 700,000, but comfortably over 600,000. And whilst I don't think they'll release the numbers, you can speak to Dazn and Mr. Markowski. It was a huge success. I saw some people tweeting saying, "Oh, it only did 150,000 on these small platforms," which obviously was via our pay-per-view. Yeah, it did. That was actually a correct number. This wasn't a platform, a pay-per-view for them. This was a DAZN pay-per-view on the DAZN platform. So yes, it did do 150,000 on the smaller platforms, but then you've got to add the DAZN buys, and it was comfortably through 600,000 buys, and I'm sure DAZN will confirm that. It was a huge success.
How many subscribers did you get off the back of that fight?
Again, I'm not going to go into it, but you know, when you subscribed on the DAZN platform, you also became a DAZN subscriber for a month. So it was a very successful night.
What's the situation with John Skipper and DAZN at the moment?
That's a strange question. What in what way? I don't believe.
I just saw a few tweets the other day saying that his position there would possibly change.
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, I don't know his exact role now, but he's not involved in the day-to-day running of the DAZN business, and certainly not in the boxing business. Consultant maybe. I don't know, but not in terms of my communication. I'm only small fry, but you know.
Okay, what's your thoughts on the WBC and their kind of comments that they come out with Mauricio Suleiman saying that they'll give Tyson Fury kind of time and not push him on?
We all know Tyson Fury's not vacating, he's not retiring, etc. So, of course, they'll give him time, and they should give him time. But we hopefully, you will next week get the official news on Joshua and Usyk, and Tyson should fight the winner, and I believe he will.
What do you think's happened? Do you think that the WBC have said to Tyson, look, we need to know blah blah, and he said, look, I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, I'm retired. I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
And by the way, you shouldn't strip a fighter if they have. It's very easy for Tyson to go back going, look, I'm just going to have some time now. Let me just think about what I'm going to do. I know I said that after the fight, but let me have some time. And they shouldn't strip him, of course not. Like, he doesn't have to retire. He doesn't have to give him a decision when his next fight is just yet. He's just boxed. So everything is done properly. But of course, we all know he's not retiring. So I expect to see him fight the winner of Joshua Usyk in December.
But as far as you're concerned, no talks have been had regarding anything after Joshua and Usyk.
Now, all our focus on at the moment is just to complete that fight and that contract, of which we will do this week, and you will get an announcement next week.
Definitely.
I mean, it's difficult. Like, if you ask me that question now, yes, you will get an announcement next week. But then tomorrow, something could take a little bit longer on a contract or a escrow or whatever, and then all of a sudden, I'm a liar, and you play it back, or Billy in his transformed pajamas plays it back.
How's Bill? Is he all right?
He's all right. And here, look at this clip. Eddie Hearn said we get an announcement next week, and it's now Monday of the week after. So I'll do my best. And as I talk to you now, I believe you'll get an announcement next week.
Anything different from what we're assuming that will be on July 23rd in Saudi Arabia?
There are options, but that is the front runner right now.
Because surely at this point, if you're announcing next week, you know exactly where the venue's going to be.
Well, if the deal gets papered in the way we need it to, yeah.
Are you going to do a press conference next week?
Next week, possibly, but more likely, I guess, the week after.
You
Can't do the week after. Cordina's fighting for a world title, mate.
We'll have to do it early in the week now.
Okay, what's the situation regarding Conor Benn? Obviously, there was talks of July the 9th, etc., talks of Jose Ramirez, etc. What is the situation?
Yeah, we made Ramirez an offer. We're still negotiating with Top Rank with them. July 9th will go Conor Benn or Derek Chisora at the O2. It may come a bit quick for Conor Benn now, so we're looking at doing shows end of July and August as well for Conor. I think really, I'm not going to go into the conversations that were had in terms of the fights that we were going to make, but there is a feeling that he wants to jump straight into a real big boy, and I think that's what we're going to do. And I think everyone, hopefully, will be very happy with the fight that we make for Conor Benn.
Interesting. I like it when you talk like this. Bit cryptic, whatever that means.
Yeah,
because you know what you normally do when you list like 10 opponents, and it's usually the bottom 3 people that you announce. No, that's sometimes what you do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's like if I went, you always throw one in that you want to frame, it's actually the one that's the red herring. So it's like if I said, some of the great interviewers of all time. I don't know, Piers Morgan. I don't know.
we interviewed Klitschko, by the way, yesterday.
Yeah, Larry, what's the guy from HBO, or another great American?
Larry Merchant.
Yeah, no, not Larry Merchant. Anyway, and then I went, and KUGAN CASSIUS. And everyone went, that name don't.
To be fair, I've got no right to be named into that bracket, to be fair.
Don't put yourself down, mate.
All right, mate. Okay, so with Derek Chisora, I've heard rumours about a potential opponent. If it is that rumour is correct, then that should be a very exciting fight, in my opinion.
The rumour is, but yes, all Derek Chisora fights are exciting, and the fight that we are trying to make will be an absolute war. So you may only have to wait as long as tomorrow. We'll see. But
I'll mouth it to you, and you tell me if I'm right.
yes, that's the fight we're trying to make.
That's good. That will please people.
Yes, it will. Well, it can only be a firefight, and that's what we want, right?
Absolutely. Are you going out to Australia for Haney Kambosos?
Cordina against Agar on the same.
Obviously you're not,
I
but
will be going out to Australia because we are set for our first Australian show in September. Cracking fight we're working on in Australia, and I will be making my way to Australia to announce that fight this summer. June, July, something like that. But I will not be at Haney Kambosos because we have Cordina Agawa, but obviously I'm rooting for Devin Haney.
you're obviously, depending on obviously what happens in that, you'll be looking to work with Haney again, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course, he has 2 fights, this fight and the rematch, and then I'm sure he'll sign back up with us and we'll walk off into the sunset.
Any movement on Katie Taylor next fight? Will it happen in Dublin?
There's 3 fights for Katie Taylor next. There's Chrissy Cyborg, there's Holly Holm, and there's Amanda Serrano. We have had approaches from sort of government level in Ireland. They want to do Croke Park. It would be an incredible moment for Katie Taylor, and those 3 names would be fine to do that. I would like to make the Amanda Serrano rematch. I think just such a great fight. And we're talking to Jake Paul and Nikisa at the moment about that rematch, and if we can agree terms, we'd love to go straight into that and do it again and create an event that will be remembered, even beyond Madison Square Garden.
Have you spoke to Canelo recently?
Not in the last 2 or 3 days.
Why, is everything all right?
Everything's fine. He's away at the moment on holiday, rested. So we're working behind the scenes to confirm his fight for September 17th, and we'll make an announcement on that probably next week as well.
Where are we with this Triple G and Bivol? Is it a 50-50 at the minute, or is one favouring other?
Look, he's going to fight Dimitri Bivol. Whether that's in September or May is to be agreed. I think if you asked him, I think he wants the Triple G fight as well because he doesn't like him and he wants to do a job on him. And now people give Triple G more chance in that fight than they did before Saturday because everyone felt that Canelo was invincible at the same time. But listen, either way, I mean, whether it's Triple G, Trilogy for Undisputed in September or whether it's Dimitri Bivol in a huge rematch, it will be one of the 2 and it will be epic, whichever one it is.
I don't know if you saw... Hello, Alan. I don't know if you saw Chris Eubanks' interview he did recently. He's kind of semi-confident that a fight with Triple G could happen with himself and...
Absolutely no chance at all, no.
You said that without him battering an eyelid.
There's no chance of that fight. I mean, Triple G, he'll either unify the division or he'll fight Canelo Alvarez, and I think it'll be the latter, but no. I mean, we've got some great fights with Chris Eubank Jr. Big money fights, but it won't be Triple G.
What, if you were to chuck in a couple of names in there for Chris Eubank that you could offer?
Liam Smith, Felix Cash, Conor Benn.
Okay, Amir Khan retired a few days ago. Off the back of Kell Brooks one as well.
The right move. I mean, look, if he went and come back with a win, could we have made the Conor Benn fight? Yeah, but the right move, was we all know he wasn't himself in the Kell Brook fight, and good to, and I saw Chris Eubank's comments about Kell, sort of goading him, saying, you've retired and this and that sort of stuff. And I actually think it's quite nice for Kell to bow out, having beaten Amir Khan, but he is leaving a lot of money on the table to fight Conor Benn. But he's got a lot of money. So if he's happy, which I hope he is, best of luck for the future.
Do you expect to ever see them back in the ring again? Not in an exhibition, but in an actual professional?
Not Amir Khan. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kell came back and, there is... I know Eubank's trying to goad him back a little bit as well, but Eubank is a middleweight, but you can't say Kell Brook ducked Conor Benn, but the fight was there for a lot of money, and I know he would have been tempted, but look, maybe the fire's gone, and if it has, he should walk away, and I hope that he has a great life.
What do you make of this Josh Taylor situation? He looks set to defend 3 of his titles against Cepeda.
Good fight. Cepeda's a very good fighter. That's a very good fight. I know there's a lot of people calling for the Catterall rematch, which again is a fight I believe should happen. But if Cepeda's a mandatory, that's certainly a fight that appeals to the US audience as well, with Cepeda being Mexican, and it's a very good fight.
Mike McCauley, brilliant win out in France last week against Tony Yoka. First of all, just your opinion about that scorecard everyone's talking about, and
what was the score?
But
obviously, what you're saying, the scorecards were closer than it should have been. Yeah, I didn't see the fight. I saw the knockdowns, and I followed it on social media. Everyone's saying that Bakoli was battering him like virtually every round. So, what a great performance! And I was laughing Sam Jones's tweets about Billy Nelson. They don't get on, but Billy Nelson is a pain in the arse. But he's stuck with Martin Bakoli for a long time, and they deserve their big night. And I'm really pleased for Billy and for Martin Bakoli, because that was a great win, huge win, especially on away soil. So congratulations to those boys.
Have you got anything for Bakoli?
Don't know really. Probably not at the moment, but he's definitely a guy that we'd love to see in big fights against our heavyweights if they're looking for an opponent. He's a very good fighter. He's sparred hundreds of rounds with AJ, and everyone respects him as a very good fighter, but sometimes he's a little bit hot and cold. I felt like he was a bit cold against Kuzmin, but that was an amazing performance in France.
Final one, you said last week you were going to potentially have a chat with Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah. Did you have that chat?
There's been some ongoing discussions, yeah. Listen, I want to get Billy back in the ring. I think there's some great fights for him. Whether that's John Ryder, whether that's Chris Eubank Jr., I think there's some big fights for him, and it's going to come down to how much he wants it, and obviously the money as well, but those conversations will continue.
I've actually got one more final one. From the Olympics circle, recent one, at least 4 of them have chosen to go with Sky and Boxer ahead of yourself. Do you want to make comment on that? Obviously, the latest one being Ben Whitaker.
Really? We signed 2 fighters. Well, we signed many fighters from the Olympics, but 2 from GB, which is Chev Clark, who's here, and the Olympic gold medalist Galal Yafai. Of the fighters that we didn't sign, there were probably 2 of those that I feel like we would have definitely wanted. The other 2, of course, we had conversations with, but in all these situations...
Whitaker and Lauren Price?
Yeah. But we still spoke to Karras, we spoke to Fraser, but it's pretty, Ben Whitaker wanted to come with Matchroom. I mean, I know it sounds like sour grapes, and was willing to accept a deal much less than Sky, but then they reloaded, and they offered him twice as much as we were paying. He said the same, and it's very difficult to turn down that kind of deal. It really is. So they're going for it with those guys, and now's the time where they've got to be good enough and put the significant investment behind that fighter, not just what's on the paper, but in every other way. And there are certain fighters that have a really big future in the game, and certain fighters that should take every penny they get right now. And on all of those fighters that we just mentioned, it was put to us before they signed, this is the deal that's been offered, can you get anywhere near it? And the answer to all those questions was no.
Is it becoming harder for yourself and Dazn to compete with the money being thrown about at the moment from Sky or whoever?
Because we got loads of money, but it's about value, and it's about believing that it's the right amount of money. I could have pulled up the money for Ben Whitaker, no problem, but I don't believe it was value. I believe it was a terrible deal. And by the way, I really rate him, and I think he's a good fighter. But you have to be big enough and smart enough at a certain level to go, no, not for me. I wish you all the best. and we couldn't get near those numbers because I don't know where that money's coming from, but it's insane. And congratulations to Ben Whittaker and to Fraser. When I saw Fraser's deal, I fell off my chair. But what a deal for Fraser Clark. Goes and buys a new house. You know, now he's, you know, he has, you don't know what's going to happen. Now he's had a hand operation, but he's got a shed load of money. And you, as a fighter, that's the most important thing. You've got to have the right people behind you. You've got to have direction. But not, you know, that's if you've got a real longevity in the game to become a massive star. And if you haven't, you've always got to look at the money. But sometimes you just got to look at the money. And some of those deals that have been, like, they have had it right off. Right time, right place. Rather be lucky than good looking. And they just copped an absolute bargain. And I don't even think Ben, with the deal that Ben Whittaker got, I can't even really say that he should have chose us for half the money, because it's insane.
Half the money?
Half the money.
All right, Edward, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to the workout today, and then, yeah, roll on the O2 this week.
See you there, old boy.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.